Organic molecules are everywhere. First of all, what is an organic molecule? An organic molecule is any compound of a large group of chemical compounds whose molecules contain carbon, the backbone of life. Now you may ask, why is carbon so essential for life? Well, carbon has a total of 6 electrons with 4 valence electrons in its outer energy shell, so it wants to form 4 covalent bonds with other elements to be stable. This enables carbon to form chains, branch chains, and rings. Therefore, most organic molecules have a skeleton of carbon. For example, glucose, an important carbohydrate and simple sugar, which cells use as a source of energy, has 6 hydrogen molecules bound to 12 hydrogen molecules and 6 oxygen molecules. So now that I've mentioned glucose, I'll talk about glucose and other biological important molecules. So basically, glucose is a macromolecule, and a macromolecule is basically a really big molecule. Macromolecules are polymers, which are made out of monomers. So for example, monosaccharides make up polysaccharides. But first, how do cells synthesize or break down? They do this through dehydration synthesis and hydrolysis. So basically, in dehydration synthesis, water is removed from the reactants to join the reactants together, because it is a type of chemical reaction which produces water molecules after the reactants are combined. However, for dehydration synthesis to occur, you must have a reactant with a hydroxyl group and another reactant with a hydrogen atom. On the other hand, hydrolysis is used to break down cells. Hydrolysis is basically the exact opposite of dehydration synthesis. Water is added to break the polymers into monomers. So, polysaccharides would be broken into monosaccharides. Now we've got this basic concept, let's explore the 4 biologically important molecules: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. First, carbohydrates. One main group of carbs is polysaccharides, which are made up of 10 or more simple sugars and are used for energy storage and structural support. Cellulose and chitin, 2 types of polysaccharides, have beta-glucose monomers, a nearly linear molecule. The beta-glucose monomers form hydrogen bonds with each other, which allows them to form fibers, giving plants, trees, and exoskeletons a rigid structure. Another type of carbs, starch, is also important for storing energy and does a good job of it, as it is made up of alpha-glucose monomers, which produce a helical compact structure to store energy. Next, let's move on to lipids. Lipids are generally nonpolar and hydrophobic, and functions of lipids include energy storage and serving as structural component of cell membranes. For example, triglycerides tend to pack together very tightly, and therefore a lot of energy can be stored in relatively little space. For phospholipids, because they are hydrophobic, they form a bilayer of membranes with the hydrophilic phosphate group heads on the outside and the hydrophobic fatty acid chains on the inside. Next, proteins are chains of amino acids. Proteins have many different structures from primary to quaternary structure, which accounts for the various functions of proteins. Globular proteins help carry out metabolism because it has small packets where chemical reactions can occur, called active sites. Fibrous proteins have elongated forms ideal for structural support, so fingernails are made out of them. Proteins also have other functions, such as transport, storage, cellular signaling, movement, and structural support. Last, nucleic acids. They are made up of monomers called nucleotides, and nucleic acids store resources and transmit hereditary information. They do this through ribonucleic acid and deoxyribose acid, or RNA and DNA. DNA has a double helix shape, while RNA has only one strand of nucleotides. DNA has 2 nucleotide strands with sugar phosphate backbones. The backbone is made up of 4 types of nitrogenous bases, which form hydrogen bonds with each other to form DNA. The arrangement of the 4 bases, adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine, determine the genetic information and therefore help transmit hereditary information.